Like everything has to be based on reality. Like we didn't want it to feel, you know, this is out of this world. We still wanted to feel very grounded, you know, that was really important for us. My name is Gonzalo Amat. I'm here to talk about Under the Banner of Heaven, because I shot with ZEISS lenses and I wanted to talk about that project. Of course, when I read, I had my own ideas about how it should look, but then you need to make sure that those ideas are coherent with what they want. In this case, David Mackenzie and the showrunner, Dustin Lance Black, who had been writing this for years and years. So he had a very clear idea of what he wanted in his head. So as I learned through my career, first thing to do is listen. You just listen to what they say. And then from there you can say, okay, well, I thought about this, I thought of these ideas. This is a timeless world where they live, because it's all about values in the past and all of those things. So visually I wanted to convey that with color. Mostly with color and then with lighting. We talked about all of those and they all seemed to love the ideas, but at the same time we didn't want it to be too in your face. Like we still wanted to feel like one single thing. The camera style comes the same. We use the same lenses for everything. The same camera, the same vocabulary. We handheld for everything. A little bit of Ronin if you want, a little bit of crane here and there. We did change a little bit the focal lengths. The story was, but also within the story we tried to let the scene tell us what the design for that for those visuals were, you know. But we chose everything at the beginning, and then it stayed consistent throughout. I mean, of course they add stuff as they go. Maybe they say, okay, I need this type of lighting for this because I'm doing more exterior than you were, or stuff like that, you know. So they adapt, but in the sort of the base package is the same since the beginning to the end. I chose the LF because I wanted a bigger sensor and the pixels are less closed and you're better for low light, because I knew I was going to be kind of boldly doing very low light and I didn't want the image to be too noisy. I was sometimes shooting like 1600 ASA, almost very cinematic, that I felt was good for the 1980s. For me, like in general, film, like when I'm trying to tell a story, I don't necessarily like to... I like sort of keeping like a distance between you and the subject. So I was looking for something that had enough sharpness, because we also needed to be able to we had a lot of visual effects on this. Even though it's very invisible visual effects, we needed something that was clean enough, but at the same time not be as sharp as where you see everything on like pores on people's faces. So I wanted something like that. And when I tested the size, I realized we should shoot wide open, and then you kind of light it very soft with soft light. Then you really don't have that sense of overly sharp skin, for example. We used a couple of filters sometimes for exterior scenes where it was too like wide lens and very sharp. But in general, I used no filtration and just kind of went with clean lens, which I think worked really well with combination of soft focus and all of that. But and the character of the lenses, being able to flare them better, easier when they're wide open. Because I've also worked with a lot of the older lenses, and it's tricky when you're working with uncoated lenses, or you're working with lenses that sometimes don't come in the same housing. It's very tricky because every time you change a lens, you need to adjust the Preston, and so I find it from a practical point of view. Also, it's good if you can challenge your focus puller by being wide open with these modern lenses, but at the same time, he's not going to have difficulty trying to pull focus on a lens that's not built like the newer lenses, you know. So that's also a huge advantage.